Hello, everybody. Today is November 20th, and we're doing robots and nonsense, which are two of my favorite sections.
Woo!
Woo!
I like the robots.
Robots are always
Robots are
fun.
always good.
And it's brought to you by Linode. We're doing Devember. What can I tell you about Devember that you don't already know at this point? Because you are an avid watcher of the Level 1 news.
If you don't know, just go watch the old episode. I saw somebody commented on the Friday news, and they were like, "Can somebody point me toward Devember?" And it's like, does anybody read the descriptions? Is that
You have to click a
More of that
button.
level 1
are we
text.
wasting our time?
So Devember, there's prizes involved. Linode is going to give away probably about 6 months of service, depending on what your project is. We need to look at the particulars of that. So you may get some free hosting from Linode for your project, if that makes sense. But there's also some runners-up. We're going to give away some old hardware, maybe some old AMD CPUs like 2nd Gen Ryzen, some motherboards, random stuff that we got laying around the office that probably not going to make an appearance in any review or any supplementary videos anytime soon. So Linode, they're awesome hosting. Check them out. You can do object storage now with SSL. They just came out with a new tutorial on that. I saw the Linux gamer Gardner. He's been on this channel before. He did a tutorial for that, so that's fun. You did the WireGuard, which I think is correct. I got that wrong last week. The WireGuard tutorial, which is a sort of DIY VPN solution. But Linode also has a bunch of other push-button solutions for doing things that are really cool. So thanks, Linode, and on with the news. Oh, we got some face masks in the Level 1 store, too, but yeah. And there's Rue.
Did we get any of those?
Yeah, if you want one downstairs, we got two.
Oh.
He really spoiled us.
Store.level1text.com. Oh, and the DisplayPort 1.2 KVMs are in stock and shipping. 1.4, the back orders are still going strong. So we're making them just as fast as we can. But good Lord, it's amazing. But the 1.2 KVMs are in stock, and that's probably going to be the last batch of DisplayPort 1.2 KVMs. So get them while you can, because everything's going to be 1.4 from here on out, and they're going to cost more.
Now, do we have a ruling on what the Tesla autopilot upgrade, what level that's supposed to be? Are we still at 2?
I would assume so, but...
He's intimated that it's 3. But
is it though?
It's in beta. So
while I was driving here today, I saw a car, and I was like, "Oh, what kind of ugly little car is that?" And it was a Tesla. They're hideous. I thought it was like a little, like eco car. Well, I guess it is. But, yeah, just disgusting cars. They are, however, super popular and super high performance. But at this point, they don't have any competition. And maybe, finally, that's going to change.
Honda says that they will be the first to mass produce level 3 autonomous cars. This is according to Reuters. Now, I think that Elon Musk would jump in here and say, we've already produced the level 3 autonomous cars. We just don't have the software update on them yet.
That's kind of a big asterisk to put on it.
Although anytime there's a situation like this, I'm always reminded of Fallout 4, like Mr. House, and it's like, okay, how is Elon Musk going to get the poker chip to the satellite uplink facility in order to upgrade all the Teslas?
The dog's getting rowdy.
She is getting a little rowdy. She's just making noise, jumping on the bed, jumping back down.
She knows how to get what she wants.
Hey, it's Friday. Everybody wants to just go home. Just be done with
Who
the
wants to
year.
go outside?
Everybody's already at home.
This year's completely a write-off.
Everybody wants to leave the sad room and go back to the fun room. So,
Slightly less sad room.
yeah. When it comes to robots, perhaps I think if you said robot in the modern day, the one that sort of has captured all of our imaginations, it's what we think of as modern robotics, is Spot the dog.
Spot the Boston Dynamics robot.
You would say that?
Yeah.
No, he's not. He's not technically a dog.
Yeah.
But he sure does act
kind
like
of
one.
looks like a dog.
But everybody loves Spot, and Spot may be getting a new owner.
SoftBank is in talks to sell robot maker Boston Dynamics to Hyundai. Hyundai, the manufacturer, because they use robots for literally everything. I think this would be a good move.
Now, tell me if this is a little weird. Maybe I'm reading too much into this. Now, Pepper, I'm saying based on hip to waist ratio, Pepper's a girl. Don't you think? Are they not asking us to stare directly into Pepper's breasts to get information? Is that what's going on here?
I feel like Pepper's kind of just like a young boy.
Pepper is the powdered toast man of restaurant, concierges, if that's the case.
I'm saying like Krista, the hips and the waist and the shoulders are the same width as the hips. That's a girl.
I wonder why they did that. Is that more efficient for a design purpose, or was that like...
The most efficient thing for a design purpose is a giant refrigerator box size.
But I mean, in terms of human form, like if you're wanting something to be sort of human, would it be more efficient to design a female or a male?
No, I think it's less threatening. It's more inviting, more welcoming.
That was one of the kind of the running jokes in Futurama that I always thought was funny. It's like, Bender is this super sophisticated thing, but he's just mostly empty inside. It's just a big aluminum shell because technology has come so far.
Yeah, it's going to be weird when we get into true space travel. The whole idea of like curves and aerodynamics just goes out the window and spaceships just get big and ugly.
Yeah.
We won't live to see that, but somebody will. This article, you really, pause this video and go and listen to it because you have to hear it. You mentioned Fallout 4. This made me think of Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Is that kind of music, but it's like Fallout 4 in hell. Because you can make out some words and it kind of seems like a coherent thing, but it's not at all.
Fallout 4 after you've had a stroke in the right part of your brain.
A stroke and magic mushrooms at the same time.
It's the screams of the damned. That's a quotation. The eerie AI world of deepfake music. So it's been trained in all that old-timey stuff, and the music that it produces is somehow haunting, unsettling, and catchy at the same time.
And it does kind of follow a theme, but it does that whole like pitch shifting auto-tune type of thing when it doesn't have an exact match, and this is the uncanny valley of audio.
Yeah.
For sure.
In a way, like not counting the vocal performances, it reminds me a little bit of like the Minecraft soundtrack, at least for like the clip I listened to.
The music part it's much better at.
Yeah.
Take away the vocals, it does a much better job at just the music. But when the vocals are in there, whoa. Now, of course, guess who doesn't like this? The recording industry. Oh my God.
Well, see, this is so transformational that they would have no hope of recovering whatever the AI was trained on, so they can't copyright strike you for that.
Oh, they're going to try.
Yeah.
I still like the people that upload like 10 minutes of silence and they'll get like 4 or 5 copyright claims on 10 minutes of silence still to this day.
3D printing. 3D printing is cool. We don't hear as many cool headlines about it as we did before. I'm not sure why. Maybe the pandemic has something to do with that. But when it comes to 3D printing things that go inside of our bodies, you have to be extra careful because, like all those little particles, you can't just put anything inside the human body. And this is a new technology that seems amazing.
Researchers 3D print biomedical parts with supersonic speed. No, these parts are not organic. They're talking about like hip replacement. Your replacement hip, your organic tissues need to grow into your replacement hip, and that doesn't always happen because those are hard artificial materials. Well, this thing basically takes, powdered titanium and sprays it, and it ends up being this porous foam. But it sprays it at just the right speed so that it'll fuse with whatever it collides with instead of like being sandblasted or whatever the equivalent is with these small particles. Once it's got roughly the shape, they do actually send it through a furnace, which helps strengthen it even a little bit more. But because it's so porous, organic material can bond to it a lot better.
This looks like they just covered cells in that spider web stuff that you see at Halloween.
Which probably didn't sell much this year.
Oh, rip.
The way that they described the titanium printing reminded me of like inkjet printing. It's like, oh, we're going to be inkjet printing titanium hips.
Yeah, well, they kind of, but it's much more of a 3D aspect.
Yeah.
So basically, you're like airbrushing in 3D to make a hip.
I'm sure that Lexmark will sue them for patent infringement. Don't worry.
How many dollars a month for your hip printer?
Oh man, that is the dark future that's coming, isn't it? It's like you can't just buy a replacement hip; you can only rent them.
Bring your own substrate to the clinic. Another cool 3D printing milestone that they have made is not to do with the material, but the size. Little tiny guys. So small, in fact, that they can propel themselves around like all the little critters that's, and all the stuff that you look at under microscope. But also the level of detail, pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
You gotta admit.
Yeah.
Scientists 3D print a microscopic Star Trek spaceship that moves on its own. No, it's not the Enterprise. It's Voyager. They 3D printed Voyager. But it's made out of some kind of material, like something coated that it runs on hydrogen. It runs on a film of hydrogen peroxide. So it's, I think, platinum or something, and it's reacting with the hydrogen peroxide so that it will zip along, which is kind of sort of similar to how little organic critters do it. And that's the whole point of this, is that they want to study how organic critters have locomotion in similar circumstances. So they needed to create an artificial critter that just had the locomotion thing. So this is not a critter, it's metal, but it'll work.
Now, do you think they chose Voyager not because anybody likes Voyager, but because the connection between the saucer and the rest of the ship on the Enterprise is much narrower?
Yeah.
And would be harder to do here.
Yeah, I think the connection, in a gravity well, the Enterprise engineering is going to be a little more problematic.
Kind of a thick neck here on the Voyager.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more structurally better. I don't think the nacelles move on that one either. My immersion's ruined.
Do you think it could disconnect the saucer?
A Voyager couldn't do that. It was only.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was only the Enterprise.
That's the kind of trivia you tune in for, folks. So now this headline does not reflect the robot part of this article. We have to dig a little deeper for the robot part.
The risk of a new world war is real, the head of the UK Armed Forces warns. Yeah, so what they're talking about is the economic collapse here is just going to descend into might is right.
And the robot part is one kind of throwaway line that he threw out there, but it was like, wait, what? And this is by 2030?
Yeah, 90,000 human soldiers and 30,000 robots. I mean, if you count drones and stuff, we're basically already there. If you count like the big dog, the big Boston Dynamics robot and their military contract and all the stuff that goes with that, we're basically already there.
Also, you might count autonomous tanks.
Yeah.
Or even aircraft.
Gosh, we've had autonomous ATVs for the better part of 10 years now.
And perhaps one of the personalities we could put in our autonomous tanks would be Amazon's Alexa. So that while you're spreading democracy, you can also order paper towels. But Alexa is learning a new thing, which sounds really annoying.
Alexa is to start second guessing what users want. So it's like, hey, Alexa, what's the capital of Madagascar? And it gives you the answer. But then it's like, oh, are you doing your homework? Would you like to order some HP ink?
Would you like to rent the movie Madagascar?
I'm thinking more like the commercialization and the exploited thing of this, because, I'm pretty sure that HP would give Amazon money in exchange for, hey, somebody's maybe going to buy some ink. Have Alexa talk them into buying ink.
Yeah, I could see that. And our next robot is decidedly lower tech. And I don't think that we could call him adorable either. He's
beautiful.
He kind of is an abomination.
It's Dot's third less successful cousin.
We're going to roll the video back so that you can see.
The paywall on this for me was like 20 minutes long, so I just gave up. Japanese town deploys monster wolf robots to deter wild bears. So there's a lot of wild bears in these rural villages in Japan. They're coming out of the forests, and so they've built this robotic wolf, because there used to be wolves like this that the bears are naturally afraid of, but the wolves were hunted to extinction. So we've replaced those with a poor robotic substitute. Which, this is kind of an allegory for what's going to happen with the bees. Like, we're going to lose all the bees, and then this is what we're going to get for the bees.
Oh, God, look at him. Oh, his eyes flash. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he's got like a thing on his tail, too.
Terrifying.
With the bees, we'll just have to hand pollinate, and that takes forever.
Looks like there's a klaxon mounted under him there, too. I imagine there's an audio feature. What kind of sound do you think he makes?
The first Cylon.
One of the biggest stories this week is that McDonald's is getting into the substitute meat game. And you might be wondering, which company are they going with? Well, in true McDonald's fashion, they've decided to change the game.
McDonald's McPlant is coming for Beyond Meat's crown. So McDonald's has a whole line of plant-based things ready to go, and they say you can't tell the difference.
McPlant, Krista, how does McPlant make you feel, the name?
time McDonald's announces anything like this, I just think all I want is burgers, chicken tendies, and fries. And McDonald's keeps adding stupid crap like this to their menu and diluting their brand.
You don't want plant tendies?
Not really.
Every time
not from McDonald's. From McDonald's.
Every time I eat at McDonald's, I'm disappointed with myself because it's like, not only are there better fast food choices, like, what am I doing to myself?
So, yeah. Now, I'll eat fast food from time to time, and I feel fine. But when I eat McDonald's, my chest hurts. Does your chest hurt after you eat McDonald's?
The food is usually so mediocre that I'm just like, I would have rather had, like, something like unflavored wheat cereal. Like, that's just wet.
And the you know what the cost is. There's a health cost that you are paying, not a monetary cost. It's cheap food, but the health cost that you're paying, and when you're done, you're like, well, I didn't enjoy that.
No,
to the level of life that I just traded for it.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
It's not really even that cheap anymore. Like, it's gone up a lot since what it used to be because they've expanded their menu so much that they have to have more ingredients and stupid.
The thing on top of that is I don't think these plant alternatives are that much better for you.
No, because they add a bunch of grease and stuff to try to make it more.
And salt. You got to salt the hell out of those things to make them realistic.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good situation.
Just eat vegetables normally.
Shrinkflation is real also. So I hit up the Halloween candy sales since Halloween was canceled, and they've shrunk. Like, everything is smaller now. Everything.
The fun used to be a lot bigger.
Fun size? Yeah.
The size of fun has officially shrunk over the years.
We bought a thing of Jolly Ranchers, and we noticed that they seemed like they were smaller than they used to be.
They are. The changes in packaging, literally everything.
There's just not enough fun to go around in 2020.
In these trying times.
Even the regular sizes are smaller. Like, they had full-size Hershey bars as a thing. That was one of the things on sale because it was Halloween themed. And they're thinner. They're thinner than they used to be.
Mm. Remember when they did that to the Toblerone? They added the giant gaps in between the triangles. Yeah. Thought nobody would notice. Dark times, folks. Dark times. Now, if you're listening to all that and you're just in this misery and you're like, I have to escape from this planet, there might be some good news for you. The homesteading on the moon may be a lot easier if this works.
UK firm to turn moon rock into oxygen and building materials. The technology is seen as a vital component in preparations to establish a permanent lunar base. So, moon rocks into oxygen and water and other building materials.
You're literally going to be playing a crafting video game when you get up there. It's like, you're going to go shovel the moon dust, put it in this machine.
Put it in the cement mixer.
Collect the aluminum that comes out of it, put it in this other machine. All the while watching my oxygen levels. Got to keep the oxygen levels up.
What game was that we played that
oxygen
was like
not
that?
Included?
We've played so many games like that.
There were two. There was one that was like sort of realistic art style, and there was one that was cartoony. And you had to have like the oxygen little tube thing. Yeah, the tethers.
Oh, Astroneer was one of them.
Astroneer, yeah.
I don't know what the other one is.
It had the giant sandworms, the other one.
Oh, that's it's named after an Egyptian god. I don't remember. Chat will know.
Either. Yeah.
This article, I saw the headline and I added it, and then later I read it and I was like, I'll decide if I'm going to keep that or not. But after reading it, it's the most crazy thing in the world. It makes no sense. Did you get anything out of this?
No, I didn't. Body found in Canada identified as neo-Nazi spam king. The body of a man found shot inside a burned-out vehicle in Canada 3 years ago has been identified as that of Davis Wolfgang Hawk, a prolific spammer and neo-Nazi who led a failed anti-government march on Washington, D.C. in 1999.
So he was a big spammer, and he was proud of that, but also a neo-Nazi, but also Jewish?
I also got stuck on that. I was like, wait, Jewish descent, neo-Nazi. So, what?
My parents were so terrible. No, I don't think that's how that works.
Made a lot of money in the early days of the internet, got sued by AOL and lost $12.8 million, but they couldn't find it because apparently he was a big fan of precious metals. They dug up his yard, still couldn't find it. And so they're thinking that the fact that he squirreled his money away in weird ways and was a little bit of an incendiary personality might have led to the killing and burning.
Yeah.
So I guess we shouldn't say rip that guy because that's a nice thing to say. Just see you later. See you later there. And we talked about this last week, but we did not know at the time that it was going to be as popular as it was. I kind of expected it, though.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by this.
Tequila, shows a brand strength and has sold out before Elon Musk could even tweet about it.
$2.50 a bottle, Krista.
This is just one of the things I don't understand. I mean, I understand people, will spend their money on discretionary things like this based on their own discretion, but why? $250 for a bottle of probably mediocre tequila.
You could get a really nice half a KVM at the store.level1text.com.
Half a KVM. For 2 bottles of this.
But you're going to buy 2, right? One to keep and one to drink. Yeah.
I don't buy alcohol like this.
I'm pretty sure
I buy it to drink it.
You buy one and then you just keep refilling it with whatever distillery made it.
Now, Krista, if you really want to vomit in your mouth a little bit, scroll down to the listings on the auction sites for the empty bottles.
That's a better margin than scalpers are getting on 3090s.
Why? I don't think anyone in our chat probably is buying these, but if you did, can you explain your thought process?
They are absolutely.
I just couldn't justify this. Even if it was my favorite wine in the world.
Well, I mean that's not nearly the most you can pay for liquor.
Yeah.
I mean, expensive liquor is a common thing, but usually there's some sort of, rich history of quality from that liquor brand, not some guy who's never done it before.
Your liquor brand should not be about the consumer horror aspect of it, and more this is a tradition of fine craftsmanship.
Yeah. Did you know? I did not add the story. I just saw the story before we started. He very likely has the vid.
Really?
Yeah. He's been tested 4 times, and he got 50-50 results so far, he says.
Wow. Well, hopefully that will give him some... What, Krista?
No, it's if you're saying maybe that'll give him some humility, no. No, it hasn't.
He'll be like Trump when he comes out the other side of it. It's like, oh my God, you can't stop me.
I had millions of dollars to spend on medical care. I don't know what the big deal is.
Yeah, our hospitals.
Meanwhile, the overflowing hospitals.
Yeah, they literally are like, "Oh, you got appendicitis. Can you wait a couple of weeks?" Because not good.
I think it was Iowa that was like, start thinking of backup plans now if you can't go to the hospital. And it's like, what's the backup plan for something like appendicitis?
It's you make sure you have a shotgun with a sufficiently short barrel. Or, practice with your toes. Now, Krista, you don't have an Xbox Series X, and that's perhaps for the best. Because I fear that yours might suffer for this.
I just got it.
Microsoft, please don't blow vape smoke into your Xbox Series X.
Yeah, this is a thing that tried to go viral, but it was really badly done.
I mean, it succeeded. I heard about it. I saw videos of it on Twitter.
So stupid. Although marketing companies, if you're paying attention, here's something brilliant for you. The next time you have a client that has a product that catches on fire, go make and release some poorly done videos of somebody vaping into the product.
Just do that with the Amazon with the screws.
Please don't vape into your Ring doorbell.
Somebody just desperately vaping toward a flaming Tesla.
That should be the title of the episode, but no one will get it.
And we are full throttle into cancel culture. I feel like it's going to accelerate into the decade. I think about the halfway mark is probably going to be the high water mark, and then we'll get the backlash. Hopefully by 2030, we'll be back in the deep anti-PC territory. But it's going to be some tough times, and here is a perfect example of how the people who participate in cancel culture have zero self-awareness.
Unbelievable. Live stream of cancel culture debate canceled during State Library of WA's Disrupted Festival. So the State Library of Washington has a festival called Disrupted where they talk about cancel culture. And they were going to stream it online with a panel of people who were going to talk about that. But one of the people in the panel said no. So it's like a real-life game of Among Us.
There's one imposter among us.
Well, they knew who it was. So this person said, now listen, I understand the whole idea of this is supposed to be disruptive and cancel culture is the debate here. But I can't give you permission to stream me because I feel like some of my fans might be disturbed by some of the words that are said here. So we have to cancel that. Which recursion. It's recursion. That's how they operate.
Anybody in the office that was, or anybody watching that was a rogue AI has shorted out and shut down. We just saved humanity. Thank you.
Alexa's blacked out across the country. Now, this one, I feel like I did not need ABC Australia to tell me this. I kind of already had an idea, you know, considering the whole, like, they react to it thing.
Horses can feel just as much pain from whips as humans, study shows. So this was an extensive study that looked at nerve endings in, the horse's skin, how they react, and blah, blah, blah. And, there are some people in the horse racing industry that say, oh, horses don't feel pain. It turns out horses must be a little masochistic.
Their argument was like, well, but if we don't give them the whip, then they might do something really dangerous to the riders. Well, one option there to avoid that danger would be to not unnecessarily ride horses.
Study shows where there's a whip, there's a way.
I mean, look, we don't need...
That's going to be clipped out of context.
We don't need to race animals anymore. Humans can fight in a cage these days. It's so much more entertaining. God, I mean, leave the poor animals alone.
But these horses are worth millions of dollars.
This one, I assume this is not fake news, right? I mean, this is not like a parody site.
Well, we talked about some more undercover things as well.
But I mean, does this not feel like a parody story to you?
It does a bit, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure
it's not.
leadslive.co.uk is a real site. I'm gonna head this off by saying that maybe it's not, because good Lord, it shouldn't be considering this. But I think this is real.
Millions wasted on undercover police operations as cops infiltrated clown army. The absurd activities of undercover police officers have been described as farcical. So that's just one. There's several things here. I think the more disturbing thing here is that the police apparently funded operations that were years long to get in with groups of people that they thought might be disruptive, including this group of clowns.
I'm not sure how the clowns threatened the world, but they did enough to get an undercover officer. Now, the more common ones were, separatist groups and groups that are based on race, like Black Lives Matter, that kind of thing. And
which is more disturbing.
Yeah. Justice campaigns, anti-racism, anti-police violence, environmental. That's been going on ever since there were environmental groups.
Yeah.
Community solidarity networks, animal rights groups, and political activism.
Pro tip, if you've got a little local community where, like, you guys get together once a week at the library and you're like, hey, we should petition the city to repaint the fire hydrants because they're kind of rusty and they're kind of unattractive. And if some dude shows up and is like, yeah, let's repaint the fire hydrants and also let's burn down City Hall. Probably not a real person.
Probably a plant.
Hey, fellow kids. Anybody want to sell me a gun?
Oh, these fire hydrants. We got to go burn down a Wendy's. Oh.
Isn't that what happened in Michigan with the overthrow plot? Like, the FBI literally was on it immediately, and they just assumed he was one of them.
Yeah.
But there have been a lot, I'm not for sure, but there have been a lot of reported cases where, with the whole, the war on terror, they would find a Middle Eastern kid who had no capacity to bomb anything and just, literally painted by numbers a bomb for him.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, we got him.
It's like, but he wasn't even going to do that until you
So I don't know. Now, Sahara Reporters, I have no idea the credibility of this site. The headline is outrageous. I don't understand how someone could be could think that this happened when it really didn't, but I don't think it could happen, right? I mean, is there a medical condition that can lead to this?
I interpret this as prank calls. It took me a couple of times to understand
killed a
what was
man.
happening. Well, yeah. Benue local government imposes 12-hour curfew after unrest over missing penises. Young men in Cebu had complained last week about missing male reproductive organs at an alarming rate.
So they started burning and killing. Yes, Krista? I can hear some questions.
I was re-skimming the article because, like, okay, I must have missed something
No.
here, but like, were they cut off or were they just missing? What does that mean?
Now, we've done other stories about this is a kind of a common thing in Africa. I think some of the WhatsApp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it was that somehow they believe in penis theft. Now, it was my understanding that all of the crowd, the riot, was made up of all young men who claim the penises had been stolen.
Couldn't someone just pant someone and determine that was the riot? Like,
Oh no.
Yeah, there was a crank call aspect of this. But then it was real.
But I don't think anybody's really missing a penis. I mean, maybe they are. Again, easy to prove. And would you want to advertise that? Would you want to be known as the guys with no penises?
I have so many questions about this story, and I don't feel like I'm ever going to get more answers.
You're probably not. No. Maybe somebody in the
It's like
in the
this
chat.
little tiny local news site. Surely there's.
Do we have any viewers from Nigeria who has experienced a missing penis? Because we would love to hear from you.
Or if they can tell us if this is like the Onion for Nigeria, and
Yeah.
we've just been duped.
If it is the Onion for Nigeria, what a creative story.
Ah, bravo. But I'm confused.
Television continues its slow but inevitable death, and it can't come soon enough. And the television networks aren't real sure what to do about it. The cable companies just raise the prices and blindly, fly into the maelstrom that will destroy them. But the networks, they're trying streaming, they're trying different things, they're trying to appease this new breed of human being that we find difficult to understand. And I believe this goes in that category because it's very woke, I guess.
CBS reality shows must now have 50% non-white casts, according to the network. Also, the writer's room has to be at least 40% non-white.
Now, how white is white? We have to determine that, right? So if you're 20% black,
1/64th Native American.
is that okay?
I don't know.
What about 1/65th?
Well, I mean, maybe that's a percentage thing. Maybe can we figure that out? That sort of gets really weird though, because then what if people start maintaining lists of writers and what their ethnicity is?
Yeah, but now it's weird because like having to prove your race to get a job.
That seems
Have we ever done that before?
only in the very most bad way possible.
I heard a different take on this, and I don't think this is the answer, but I think that it was like trying to describe the problem they were trying to solve with this. Apparently, on the show Big Brother, they'll have some black contestants on it every year, and every year they get voted out first. And apparently that's starting to look really bad for optics, so this might be a move to try and fix that.
But I don't think it's exactly what you're describing, but it is funny on shows like what's the one where they get married? The Bachelor. There's always but that's supposed to be how it ends, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the finale, and then they end up breaking up like a month later.
So they always have a certain number of the minority girls, or maybe a girl with a handicap or something like that. I don't watch it, but you notice these kinds of things when you see the pictures of the lineups and stuff, and you're like, okay, he can't get rid of her first round. That won't look good. So he has to play a mental game. It's like, all right, when do I get rid of the obvious one? That's fun to watch. Now, I say that this is fine, but it should be exactly the demographics of the country.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
What are we? I think white is still 60, but we might have lost a lot of ground. Hispanic is blowing up. So it might be more like 40-40. Black is 13, right?
Somewhere through there.
And then miscellaneous. So that's exactly what we should have in all of our reality shows. Just a perfect distribution of races.
Seems reasonable.
No, it doesn't seem.
I feel like I understand what they're reacting to, but I don't know how you solve that problem. I don't know that like forcing a 50-50 split will necessarily make it better.
Any rule you create will not solve that problem. It will only create anger.
It might create more interesting television, and that's all they really care about, I guess.
Now, when you're eliminating people, do you worry about that? It's like, oh, this is going to upset the balance.
I don't know.
Christmas.
I'm never going to be on reality TV, so
You don't know that, Krista. Don't sell yourself
I
short.
don't think I have the personality for it.
Christmas is coming up, and well, the entire holiday season, really.
Yeah.
And our socially distanced lifestyles are going to conflict very deeply with many of our traditions. And what are you going to do? You're going to be a good little citizen? You're going to stay at home? Or are you going to say, no, I must go see Santa? Perhaps there's a middle ground.
Santa's given video call training for a socially distanced Christmas. A new app called Santa HQ will allow children to virtually visit Santa's grotto. This is going to be really bad because, like, little Timmy is going to call Santa and going to have a conversation with Santa, and then Timmy is going to forget something and he's going to call Santa back. And the next Santa that he get is not going to have any recollection of the conversation that he had to begin with.
What do you mean next Santa? There's clearly a typo in the headline. It should be Santa's possessive giving video call training for a socially distanced Christmas. That was just a mistake on the Independent's part. They know it's just one Santa.
And he will use his North Pole magic to increase his bandwidth as necessary to receive all of those video calls. And then use some sort of quantum time dilation so that he can talk to every child.
At the same time.
Yeah.
He utilizes all the bandwidth in the North Pole, and all the natives are like, oh, come on, man.
I'm trying to play Counter-Strike. Now, this is going to be way, way, way worse than you are predicting, because you are not predicting the obvious one. What is every Zoom story about?
Oh, no.
And kids ain't going to get over that. That's going to be a tough one for little Timmy. That's going to be a scar, a mental scar.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you know what we're talking about. We're talking about the real North Pole.
The Peter North Pole.
We can't use that as a title, but it would be a good one. People would be like, how does he know that name? And Krista, this was one that you sent me, and I thought that like this was like you could just go to really any real world place, but no, they created this specifically for this little event. Yeah.
This was trending on Twitter. VR furries are now running around the Four Seasons total landscaping. There's not really anything else to say here. It's just furries are running around a virtual version.
There was a post on our forum about this, and we had to like it was derailed immediately because we can't have nice things. Well, not that thread was nice. It was not nice.
Well, that was in the just like the bitter, the hottest part of that battle for like, is there fraud or isn't there fraud? So you're never going to get a group of people who can just enjoy it for what it is, which is furry nonsense.
Everything about this is just peak internet. The furries, someone taking the time to make like an obscure site into a map in a game. Like,
you know, my favorite part about this is whatever software this is for the furries is basically just textures on flat models. They don't have any fur physics at all. Come on.
It turns out NVIDIA has patented that and is not participating in any kind of FRAND, agreement. So
they got to do the fur works.
The video in here, I mean, there's not like really great fur, but like the guy's, his little ears are moving around while he talks to the camera.
That's just a hack.
Every time he sways.
That's just a skin on a flat model, Krista. It's ridiculous.
It's real.
I probably won't download this because I don't ever download apps because I don't trust them. And I definitely don't trust this one. But I would be, if I could know, I don't believe in this, but if it were real, I would like to know.
Former Amazon engineer creates an app that reportedly translates your cat's meows. Everything from I'm hungry to I'm happy and even I'm in pain are built into the app and translated based on tone. So, cats don't communicate with each other by meowing in the wild. I guess they can hear us talking and assume that they need to do the same thing.
I think cats meow at each other.
They do?
Yeah.
Well, that article says they don't in the wild. But it says there's like 9 different things a cat can convey, so it doesn't seem like the translation is all that sophisticated. Although I'm sure that like I've got a lot of training data for one of the things, which is Mom's cat, which only communicates existential dread. The possums really messed it up as a kid.
You think
has an abusive relationship with the possums? Like at one hand, it's terrified of them, but it also wants to go back.
He loves me.
Yeah, still when feeding the cat like will leave its bowl alone for a while because it thinks possums are going to jump out and take the food, and it has to wait until the possums are done eating before it eats the leftovers.
Oh.
I wonder if they'll have one for, I'm going to continue opening the drawers and climbing onto the counter, and I don't care what you do to me. Because that's the one that I would hear 90% of the time, I think. You have to be careful when you are a big tech company and you're moving into a country or a culture that you don't really quite understand. Because there are some little nuances that will get you in a lot of trouble. And Amazon India has run into one of those issues.
Amazon yanks doormats with Hindu gods from site amid outrage. So it was a doormat. It was like, wait a minute, we're doing what now? It's like, no, that's not okay here in India. It's like, oh, oops.
Could I get a Jesus doormat?
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can get, from the movie Dogma, you can get Buddy Jesus statues full size. Still.
Yeah, but that's like, I mean, is there somebody who's selling a Jesus doormat who isn't? They just want you to have a nice Jesus product, not like wipe your feet on our God type of thing.
Oh, I don't think so.
So
no, I would almost be willing to bet you could, though. Like, Christianity generally doesn't seem to care as much, at least most versions of it.
I don't know
about printing your stuff all over the place, because I see that kind of stuff everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know that malicious is the right word. More like apathetic.
Yeah.
If people want to buy a Jesus mat, who cares?
Yeah. Now we know for sure you couldn't do a Muhammad mat. That's definitely out of the question.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're going to do business in a different part of the world, maybe learn from them a little bit. Hire somebody local and run some ideas past them.
Oh man, our next article. This is amazing. Like I was watching this as it was happening, and it just got more and more amazing as time went on. It was hilarious.
Do you remember the woman?
What is that?
Is that you, Krista?
Yeah, my landlord is mowing the grass, and so every now and then I can't guys very well.
But do you remember I think she was a professor at a college or something, and her Twitter alt was a Native American lesbian.
Oh, yeah.
Who got COVID.
Yeah.
This is the right-wing version of that.
Yeah.
And they're so similar.
They are shockingly similar. The incredible, bizarre Dean Browning and Dan Purdy Twitter drama explained. So this is just really hilarious for a lot of reasons. Not the political reasons. But like, if you have a politician that is spending time doing this on any side, they are not working in the public interest, and they never have. And because they're not working in the public interest, they should not be permitted. Yeah. So Dean Browning literally posted a tweet that said, "I'm a black gay guy, and I can personally say that Obama did nothing for me, and my life only changed a little bit, and it was for the worse. Everything is so much better under Trump. I feel respected, which I never do when Democrats are involved."
And he posted that under his official checkmark Twitter account.
Not the alt.
He forgot.
And then there's this gets even more insane.
Yeah, some
internet
shoes
sleuths figured it out.
Tracking this down. And the gay black man, who was not real, was a huge Trump supporter. And a lot of anti-Biden stuff.
And then Patti LaBelle's adopted son was somehow baited into saying, "No, I'm Dan Purdy."
And why? I mean, it's got to be political, I guess.
Yeah, it would have to be.
Man, it just goes to show you that Twitter's destroying us.
Well, I think so. Here's the thing, though. Like, if Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey and those executives are serious about like the whole there's some disturbing stuff going on here, they could out this. Like, they know IP addresses, they know everything else. The Dan Purdy account has been suspended, and they probably looked at the logs and were like, "Oh wow, same IP address, minutes apart, blah blah blah." Definitely not a real person.
But they're not going to monitor that in real time.
No, they're not going to monitor it in real time. But when they discover something like this, they should be like, "Hey, here's what's happening."
But then, remember the guy who was tweeting as the one politician's cow?
Yeah.
Then you destroy that. And that's just kind of fun.
That is kind of fun.
You also out him.
Yeah. But this is manipulative. The cow thing, I think, is...
If you were a big believer in that politician, you'd be just as angry about the cow thing.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
They're all disappointing. On such
what you're advocating for ultimately is absolute real name policy.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't think that's the right way to go.
That didn't do anything for the YouTube comment section, and it won't do anything here.
Although, isn't it? It's technically true that law enforcement has access to this data. So that's the fact that they have access to it is maybe an argument that we, the citizenry, should have access to it as well.
The whole idea of an absolute end to privacy across the board is an interesting argument. That is the only way I would ever agree to gun control. Everybody has to have gun control. Just get rid of them. No armies, no cops. We all go gunless. And you're like, that's unrealistic. Yeah, I know. Now, this one is more about the new Macs, specifically the operating system. If you buy one of those fancy new ARM Macs, you might feel really good about yourself. But these guys really took a step back from the forest or from the trees and examined the forest. And the dark future is now.
It's not healthy, the forest. This is an amazing post. It's here. It happened. Did you notice? I'm speaking, of course, the world of Richard Stallman predicted in 1997, the one that Cory Doctorow warned us about. You don't own your computer anymore. As of Mac OS Big Sur, a lot of people had trouble running Mac OS applications yesterday. It turns out that there's a server on the internet. Every time you run an application, a mathematical hash, which is unique to that program, which is computed from the thing that it is sent to a server at Apple, and it says, okay, yeah, you can totally run that. And on Big Sur, you don't really have the option of disabling that. But a lot of people had trouble yesterday because if it's down completely or unreachable or your Mac's offline, it'll fail gracefully. But what was happening yesterday was it was up, but it was hideously slow. And as a result of that, just doing anything on your Mac, really problematic.
So the more successful a product launch is for Apple, the more the product will be garbage for a couple of days. Sounds like a lot of video game releases.
Before Mac OS Big Sur, there was a program called Little Snitch that would block, this sort of unwanted telemetry to Apple, which, by the way, is unencrypted, for all the lip service that Apple does about, we're encrypted and user privacy and blah, blah, blah. This is, again, an example that Apple doesn't actually care.
No one does. No one cares. And this is not our last story. I have one more. Pokemon. I've played very minutes of a Pokemon game. I've certainly never finished one. Have you?
No.
Christy,
No.
you're a Pokemon girl, aren't you? Oh, no? I thought you loved Pokemon.
I did. I liked the TV show and the books, and I collected the cards. But when I tried to play the Game Boy game, I was frustrated every time I walked through the grass, and you'd run into another damn Pokemon and have to do battle. I just wanted to get to the next town over. It took
Christy,
forever.
this is like your Game of Thrones thing where you know all the trivia, but you've never seen it.
I like all the other material, but I don't actually play the game.
Doesn't make any sense. Well, that means this fish has officially accomplished more than any of us.
Oh, after 3,000 hours, a pet fish has completed Pokemon Ruby. All it takes is just mindless smashing of buttons to get through the damn grass.
I guess
It actually took 3 fish, but that's fine.
But I didn't understand this. Okay, so what he did was he segmented a fish tank into quadrants, and then visually, when the fish moved to a new quadrant, that was a button press.
Yep.
But why would you have to rotate the fish out? It's not, the fish doesn't know that it's playing Pokemon. It's not
Didn't want to get tired.
It's not taxing. You're going to put it in another tank and it's going to continue to swim. He also, in the Twitch chat, you could call for his help if the character got stuck or whatever. So there was a little bit of human involvement here. And there were some mini games that the fish couldn't do that he had to step in on. So not totally the fish, but still impressive.
Mostly the fish.
People watched that. People just sat there on Twitch and watched a fish play. Probably more people than watch us on Twitch.
I was going to say, it just makes you want to put some clown makeup on, because it's like, what am I doing?
Krista, that's terrorist activity. We can't allow that.
Oh, sorry.
And finally, God, this picture. I wish I could scroll in such a way to hide it and do the reveal. Oh my God, it's amazing. Krista, have you followed this before? Did you already know about this? Because
I did. I'd seen this before.
Yeah, the art world has to be just how angry are people about this?
The releases are in Spanish because this was in Spain, but pretty angry as it turns out.
So prepare yourself for this amazing before and after as we do the headline.
Behold, the potato head of Palencia, another botched art restoration in Spain.
God, why does this keep happening?
It's so bad.
It's pretty bad.
I don't even understand how you do this. Like the mouth and nose aren't great, but like they're not awful. They'd be
Krista, that
noticeably.
mouth. Look at the mouth compared to the other mouth.
But like the eyes, though, the eyes are up in the hairline.
Chunk from Goonies
But
is
there's
forever
not-
immortalized.
There
on
shouldn't
this.
be a hairline. There's like a head rag, like a bonnet type of thing going on in the original. Where's that?
I do not know. They
What
must
a-
have like sandblasted it too hard.
And look at that
right?
neck. Look at the neck.
It gets worse the longer you look at it.
You just keep seeing. And it almost seems like the perspective of like the dress is different too, right?
Yeah, like I wonder if they just. Well, I don't know though, because the hand still looks all right. I don't know if they just hit it too hard with like some sort of abrasive, chemical or something, and it eroded too much of certain things away, and then they just tried to fix it. But like,
You ever like you run an SQL command and you realize that you didn't put the
winter
the
clause.
limiter in there, yeah. And you're like, oh, and you get that feeling, that dropping feeling. How much worse does it have to be?
the full. There's like a picture of it on Twitter, and like seeing it in full context with the beautifully carved animals makes it even worse.
At least with SQL, I can roll back the transaction, but with this, there's no.
Chris, I don't see another picture in this article.
There's a Twitter post.
Oh, right
It's
there.
in Spanish.
Oh, it's not previewing the image for
Yeah,
us.
but there's an image that shows like the picture of it with the animals, and it looks horrific.
We're trapped in a. Yeah,
Staring at me.
the animal faces are so much better.
I think there's only one scenario where this would make sense, and that is the art conservation thing just didn't have enough money to do what they needed to do.
Then why do anything?
Well, no. It was like, okay, we need to save these other things that are really important. Let's really mess up this one.
Sacrifice one.
Yeah.
Well,
And then we can get the money to do it right.
I do kind of think though, like this might have just been someone who was maybe not as experienced, and they put too much of whatever they used to clean it on, and it was abrasive, and then it removed the features, and they tried to draw them back, and it was terrible. Like,
But
you always hear when you watch like people who do restoration, they always say like use very little of any chemical and do lots of spot tests, because if you erase something, you can't put it back. Like you might have to clean something 20 times, but at least you won't have to try to redraw it, or in this case resculpt it.
But this person should be banned from art for the rest of their lives.
Well,
Just banned.
the article talked about how like a lot of the people hired to do this don't have any experience with art restoration.
They're just migrant workers who they don't even understand the description of what happened there.
Yeah, the process for doing this kind of thing is fundamentally broken. That was what the article was arguing.
They
It's
pointed
crazy
out
because there are lots of art history majors who at least have some qualification for this, but they're probably too expensive, and that's why they don't hire them.
they also pointed out this is another classic example of one that they screwed up really bad. The
Was it
monkey
the,
Jesus.
Was it the painting one? I love that
The
one.
monkey Jesus, yeah. So not unique to this, but it is always
Again, that turned out to be a brilliant marketing campaign. They only had to sacrifice one, al fresco, whatever.
yeah. But you know what? We're not getting a lot of new paintings of Jesus.
From the masters? Yeah, no. not
Although
so
that
much.
probably wasn't really a painting of Jesus, right? Because he's way too lily white in that. Ooh.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely not like a live version of it. It would be someone's interpretation of what Jesus might have looked like. That being said, the original was beautiful, and the one we got instead is questionable.
Maybe this is the same situation where this is an interpretation and this person just hates women.
Maybe.
Oh, wrong button. Well, Krista, could you give us a potato-themed goodbye?
A potato-themed goodbye, and also go get started on your Devember project if you didn't, because December is right around the corner, and then we're going to judge at the end of November.
You know who could greatly, who could really get a lot out of November is whoever did this.
Yeah.
because their life and art is
Practice your skills.
should not be.
You can use our coupon for Linode and get free, 2 months of free credit, basically. $100. There's a lot of stuff you can experiment with, a lot of skills you can learn. Sign up for Devember. We'll see you there.
Bye, Spuds. Get it? Because it's not buds, it's spuds. So it's a potato goodbye.